Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Dylan, that is Sal. You know, we're going to talk about Moon Knight episode 2 today, but I just want to tell you something. I go through and I do our analytics, which means I end up watching a lot of the intros to a lot of our videos. I've got that opening down to sound the exact same in every single video.
Yep. Yeah, it's comforting. It's like a delicious sandwich. It just fills you with warmth.
I don't know if I should be happy or sad. You just called me a delicious sandwich.
Those intros are comfort food, man. People need that. They need to hear that familiar ringing. It's replaced the theme song.
Oh, I am the theme song.
Your intro is the theme song.
No, that doesn't exist anymore, Dylan.
Was there a theme song? Did I miss something?
Just opens the silence.
Oh no,
that's
yes,
the
okay.
track at the,
that's
the
not a
bed
theme
track.
song.
It's close enough.
That's ambient music. That's
if I changed it, people would be like, "What the?"
They would. I'll
you should
agree.
change
It's
it
the
to like
combo.
cloud music. It's like
Like a heavy metal grind, and then I just jump in.
That'd be kind of
Hello,
dope. I think you'd lose people. I think people would be like, "Oh, it's a little dark."
What's going on here?
But I think if you made calliope music, like do 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 do,
Evil Carnival. That's what we're going to go with. An Evil Carnival.
Yeah.
All right, Moon Knight episode 2. Here's your quick
Moon
recap.
Knight.
This will be full of spoilers, just a heads up.
Yeah.
Episode 2 picks up where we left off. Stephen Grant is trying to prove that he just turned into Moon Knight and fought against the Jackal. We've discovered that they can't be seen and that it's all off camera. He then argues with Stephen Grant. He argues with Mark Spector. We discover Mark Spector's hidden Moon Knight cave, which is just a storage center. But that's where he keeps all of his stuff. He then goes and discovers Mark Spector's wife, which is another thing we'll get into in a second.
Yep.
He then goes off. We discover a whole side of Stephen Grant that is kind of interesting. And then we get to the big battle where basically it turns into a whole joke sequence with Mr. Knight, which then ends with Moon Knight fighting the Jackal creature and Mark Spector now being in control. That is the recap of what we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah. So big changes, obviously, to the mythos, to the Moon Knight lore, to the character, to
I'm
the
upset.
costume. Right. So I knew about the Mr. Knight thing. What do you guys think about the significant change? Because Mr. Knight, the Ellis Lemire Mr. Knight stuff, that's very different from,
Yes.
well, you're a posh British person, and when you get to be Moon Knight, you make it an uptight stuffed shirt suited person.
As a fan of Moon Knight, I'm aware that Moon Knight has never been consistent. He's not Batman, where it's like, okay, he will always be the billionaire. You know, a better example, we just did that Spider-Man leak thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's no
where they said
legal
this is what
rules.
Spider-Man will always be, no
Right,
matter what.
Exactly. These are the basic tenets of the character. No, Moon Knight he didn't even have DID when he first was created.
Yep.
All those identities were just things he used. It was just, I remember him being pitched to me as a child in the comic book store, and he was like, "Do you like Batman? What if Batman had 3 secret identities?" And I'm like, "That's not interesting." And he's like, "No, but he
Also, he
pretends to be
does.
rich, and he pretends to be, yeah." But he does. Matches Malone, Bruce Wayne.
But yeah,
uh,
and I think that's the standing point with me with Mr. Knight. Because I always argue
It could be anything, is what you're saying.
Well, I always argue with a lot of comic books. If you like that story, enjoy it while it lasts. Because even though Spider-Man will be back, Nick Spencer's Spider-Man and his voice for Spider-Man ended.
Gone. Yeah.
Zeb Wells, Ben Reilly, gone now. Like, it's gone. And you always have to take each storyline with a grain of salt in what you enjoyed. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. It has never been that way since then. And fans don't get that because they assume that there is a list of tenets that you're supposed to maintain.
Right.
And the only superheroes that get those are like Spider-Man, Batman. I don't even think Superman does because the dude turned into a blue lightning bolt for a while.
That was 30 years ago, but also the Superman thing is, that's a very different ball of wax because DC just doesn't care about that character.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there are characters that get these tenets and they do, and you will not change that character. And Moon Knight gets to change every comic based on how the writer wants to do it. His multiple personalities have been Wolverine, Captain America, and Spider-Man at one point.
Yep.
He's
Konshu
also
has been real or not.
Yes.
Right.
He's had dissociative identity disorder. He's also had a fractured brain from Konshu.
Right.
Like, and they flip that. Literally just, here's the new thing, and this psychiatrist told you how that works. The problem I think everyone's having with Mr. Knight is he has not had that luxury. He was introduced in 2013, and every scene we've seen of him has been uptight, detective,
One thing.
badass.
Yeah.
He has not changed. So I'm okay with this being a goofy version of Moon Knight to kind of give us almost a Deadpool-esque identity with him. But I understand the backlash because of the fact Mr. Knight has only been one thing since his inception.
Well,
Even
it's also
Moon
very
Knight has
recent.
changed. Yeah, it's
Right.
also very recent.
It's also like the different, because we have two pretty major changes to the Moon Knight characters so far in Stephen Grant and now Mr. Knight. And I think like
Yeah.
most people don't care about Stephen Grant because like at least for me, he's not even like working in the show.
Yeah. Okay,
Very
thank
well
you.
at all. And
I have a theory about
like,
all of that.
also,
but I want
like-
to talk about the show first.
Okay.
I have a theory. I have a good one. I have a good one this time.
okay.
All right.
But
It's still
also,
not
like,
canon.
there's a. I think that the director or someone came out and said that the reason that they changed Steven for the show is because they didn't want to just make a Bruce Wayne clone, because that's kind of
Right.
who the Stephen Grant personality is in the comic.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
He's
Like, I
been
get that.
in the comic books an attempt to be Batman, which is where a lot of those
Yeah.
correlations come from.
Right. And that's like, I totally understand that if you want to make a change to that, whatever. It's, again, at the end of the day, Stephen Grant, even in the comics, is one of the personalities that no one cares about.
Yes. So
but-
if you're gonna change one, it should be that one.
Yeah,
Might as well be that
Really,
one.
the Jake Lockley was the one you should change, but whatever.
Sure.
I
The
think
one
Jake
that's
exists.
only known
That's my
for
theory.
driving a taxi.
Right. Exactly.
But the thing with Mr. Knight is just like to reduce it to just a costume and just like a wink and nod reference is such like a waste. Like I get
Yeah.
if you want to trim Moon Knight's identities down to just Mark and this new version of Steven to make it cleaner. That I get.
Right.
Like we've got Moon Knight and we've got not Moon Knight. But then to take this really cool idea and throw it in the show as just a reference and
Deranged Colonel Sanders. That was literally
Yeah.
what they called it.
it's like why
Yeah.
why even do that at all? Like
Well, let me tell you something. They were so proud of it. He's appearing in Disneyland at Avengers Camp
sure
right
is.
now.
That's the outfit Moon Knight's
were-
in right now.
They were
The
so
thing
ready.
is it's a cool costume and
It looks great. Yeah, no, it's because it is
Also,
cool.
it's cheap.
right.
I have a
Yeah.
feeling
That-
he's
yeah,
in there
true.
so they can do all these appearances as Moon Knight and not pay someone to don the ceremonial
You go to
vestment.
Walmart and buy that outfit.
I
Yeah.
saw a picture, I think, of like real Moon Knight, like at the like on the balcony, and like did a thing with his cape, like did a flourish. Like when the show debuted, they put real Moon Knight up there, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. So they do have a real Moon Knight costume.
Well, I think that I actually think part of the reason Mr. Knight is the way he is so that Disney can utilize him for things like meet and greets.
Yeah.
Now we just got a guy that has to put on a suit. You know, the
Right.
actor doesn't just has to look the part.
Yeah.
But Moon Knight can be in the shows because he's the dark and edgy run on the rooftops one.
Yeah. I have not. You know, it's funny you talked about the backlash. I honestly because I saw episode 2 the other day, so I was just like, no one's gonna like this Mr. Knight thing. Like I warned you guys. I'm like, Mr. Knight, you're not gonna
sure
be
did.
happy with that change. and I told my friend, I was just like, you're not gonna be happy with that change. And I haven't heard anybody complain. Like TikTok is aglow with Mr. Knight and Stephen Grant. They all
Yep.
love him. And I have die-in-the-wool Moon Knight fan friends who are like, you're going to lose a few. It's going to change. But, like, you know what? It was kind of fun to see. And I'm like,
that's
"You
my
didn't-
reaction."
You're not outraged? I mean, like, I'm not outraged, but I am because I'm not, like, a hardcore Moon Knight fan. But, like,
Yeah.
if I were, I would be.
Tired to be outraged.
Yeah.
I think the reason is Moon Knight is practically non-existent in the world of comics. Like he's not even a good background
He's
character
had
for
a
the Avengers.
book. He's had his own book for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
There's never not been a Moon Knight book since
But
2004.
it's always been such a niche is the problem. Like Moon Knight has sold enough so they keep letting him exist.
Right.
But he has not sold enough to break into like, here's the Moon Knight and Daredevil crossover. Here's the Spider-Man teamed up with Moon Knight. Here's the
He beat the Avengers.
well, that's obviously tied in because now at that point they had a show coming
that
out,
book
so they were
sucks.
like.
Yeah, that book really sucks. Yeah, that's true.
But what I'm
like,
saying is,
okay,
I get what you're saying, but I think it's tied to the fact that he was getting a show. So now it's like, well, now we're gonna have like all his other things going on. But if
Right.
you look at everything pre Moon Knight announcement, it was just Moon Knight's on his own. He's doing his own thing. You might hear him mentioned. There might be a joke comment, like when
Yeah.
he shows up to, I think it was Infinity Wars.
Right,
And
yes.
Spider-Man's like, that Gamora is the bad guy. Okay. Who's Gamora?
One's Gamora.
Like,
It's like- what sucks about that, by the way, is that Moon Knight has met Gamora, but never mind. Anyway, deal with that.
which one's Gamora, Spider-Man? I know you.
Right.
Like that was the joke that he knows Spider-Man.
Yeah, that
And
was
that
funny.
was it.
Yeah, that was funny. Dylan?
I think the thing that really gets to me about this is that Moon Knight is such a smaller character, and for the most part, he operates in a way that is counter to like the MCU's tone.
Right.
And they had a really, Disney had a really solid opportunity here to start making shows that aren't for everybody that has loved the MCU up until now. And like with the shows, they've done different things. Like WandaVision is obviously like a very different show, but it's still like a comedy for the most part, and it still has that more lighthearted tone, even though there is like dark stuff in there. But like, it's really frustrating, like not even as a Moon Knight fan, just as a fan of the MCU, to see them continue to do this and to continue to reduce these characters down to what is essentially the same character over and over again. And it's like, okay, Stephen Grant is now just, like you said, Ben, I don't agree that he's fully Deadpool, but for the sake of without a better example.
It's an easy analogy to make. You know?
Different. Yeah, it's like, let's just take MCU superhero number whatever and put a Moon Knight costume on him and then give, like, that's the show. And like that's frustrating to me as a fan of Moon Knight, but also as a fan of Daredevil. And as a fan of all of the other Defender stuff that they're bringing back in. And it's like...
Oh, sure, yeah, you're going to be concerned about that. Well, the thing I think more... To build off of that point you made earlier, Dylan, about Moon Knight, and him being a TV show. TV shows, I get why the MCU has, like, a formula. And why... Because you're spending millions of dollars, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars to sell a movie.
Sure they work.
It has to work, and it has to appeal to everybody. TV is where you can get nuance and niche, and like you can try something different. You can be like, this is a season of a show, you're probably not going to watch it, but don't worry, because there's a Star Wars show coming after that, and you'll watch that one. But like, check this out, and they didn't do that, because I'm convinced, and it's a theory I haven't had a proper forum to talk about this, but okay, so like, you can't deny that the Netflix shows were shows, right? Like, they were TV shows. You might have had something to say about Jeff Loeb's handling of some of those shows, but like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Netflix shows, all the were TV shows made by TV people. These are the first shows we're seeing from the Marvel Studios group. I don't think Marvel Studios knows how to make TV shows.
Oh, I've said that since the beginning.
Right?
I feel like this show is a movie that was
a 6-hour movie.
It was too long for a movie theater, but it was too short for a show.
Right.
So they're padding it in places to get it to 6 hours.
I can't believe it's 55 minutes or less. Like, I can't believe every episode I've seen so far, I'm like, 50 minutes! And then you see most of those minutes are, oh my god, good golly. And it's just like, I'm so sick of you. And it's only the second episode. And you're clearly the protagonist.
Yeah. That's why, like, it's ridiculous to me that this show is 6 episodes. And it is the third episode where it becomes a Moon Knight show. Episode 1.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because we get Mark at the end of this episode. Yeah. And both these first 2 episodes are Stephen Grant bumbling around doing nothing that nobody cares about. Or that anybody cares about. And it's like,
give me the body. Give me the body. I'm not going to give you my body.
I'm gonna counterpoint here, because I did enjoy this episode, and I feel like now it's just starting to get I actually have been enjoying Oscar Isaac's acting as Stephen Grant.
I think he's great.
He's fine.
I don't care about Stephen Grant, but I think that's by design. And my theory is that we are going to discover Stephen Grant is the new personality. Like, the reveal in here is that the reason Mark Spector is gone, something is going wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you look, Stephen Grant has a lot of the personality traits of Layla or whatever her name was. So I
not
feel
Marlene for some reason.
I feel like Stephen Grant was created as a Band-Aid because of what Konshu wants to deal with, and him needing to end it with Layla. And my theory is Jake Lockley does exist, and the 2 personalities were Mark and Jake. Stephen Grant was made in response to Konshu messing with him. And then what they're doing is they're giving us a personality that has no backstory. Right. It is supposed to relate to the common man to give you the end to the Moon Knight story.
Oh, I mean, like, clearly Steven is there for the audience to identify with, connect with, and be like, whoa, this is so crazy. But the problem with that, I think, is just they can't get rid of him. You look at the audience reaction. for the most part, here's the funny thing is, most people love this show.
Yeah, it's getting great reviews.
And they love Steven.
Yeah, I'm not against Steven. I do feel like I will agree that if there is no actual explanation or payoff with Steven, that they've wasted a lot of time on Steven bumbling. I will agree with that 100%.
I think
because that's my argument so far. There's a lot of bumbling Steven in there. Like, we could have taken out this 5 minutes and this 5 minutes. It would have been a much tighter show.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but that's the movie. Like, this is a long, drawn-out version of the movie. Bumbling Stephen Grant is a 10-minute bit in the opening of the movie before the Jackal Monster shows up.
Yeah.
Can we also talk about how lame and cheap it is that no one can see the Jackal Monsters?
Okay,
Because
I knew this was going to come
sucks.
up because there's two very distinct opinions on that. Is like, one thing, it's like, oh, they just didn't want to animate him. But also, like, I think it was fun. But I totally, like, that was the thought being in the back of my mind, is like, they probably did this just because budget.
Yeah. I don't think it's the budget. I think it's that they're just afraid to allow, like, they don't want to get the MCU to be too silly. Like, I genuinely think that in a world of purple space monsters and, like, Chitauri creatures and crap, that they're like, oh, an Anubis monster, people seeing it and taking pictures of it, like, that would break the world. And I'm like,
Okay.
I think it's a little. I think here's the problem with it. The newest monster I didn't have any real big problems with. I do think they're trying to keep this out of the MCU because they've said that multiple times in the thing. Yesterday when I was reviewing this with those guys who like to look for every little thing, I'm like, I hate to burst your bubbles, guys, but they have straight up said this will not be connected. They don't want it to be connected.
I mean, it is connected. Like, it's in that universe.
It's in the universe, but they're not going to reference it or make it something like Eternals. We all question, why did no one see the giant god thing and talk about it?
Right. But like Black Knights in Eternals, they talk about Thanos. Like, that is in the MCU.
Right, that is directly. This is in the MCU, but they're not referencing it. And I think the Invisible Monsters is going to allow them to raise the stakes drastically without having an Eternal situation where we all should talk about the Cthulian old god that showed up.
Yeah, like, someone should have shown up. Like, someone, if a jackal was tearing up London, maybe some superhero would show up. But then the question is, which one? Because I don't know who's active anymore.
I thought that was a smart decision to have it set in London because there's really not, like, London isn't like an expansive part in the MCU so far, so I thought that was an intentional decision.
The only people we have there are Jane Whitman and one of the Eternals.
Right, the only thing I was thinking of is Eternals.
Okay, so we have Jane Whitman and probably Blade is still there somewhere.
So those are your characters you could have show up in your Moon Knight show, but I don't think they will.
No.
Maybe Blade.
But what I'm saying, the problem I have with the Invisible Monster isn't the idea that the Invisible Monster and no one can see it. I like that idea because it also allows us to play on the concept for non-Moon Knight fans who don't know what we're getting into.
Yeah.
Is this all in his head? Right. It plays into that. And I like that.
Too. That's cool.
We're all sitting here like, oh, well, it's kind of cheap. And it is a cheap way to do it, but it plays into is Stephen Grant just crazy? None of this is happening.
Right.
I think
they're trying to Fight Club it for the non comic book fan.
Well, it's very much like it's like diet deep. Like, they're trying to make, like, the audience go like, "Whoa, this is a pretty cool show. Like, this is a pretty heavy show. Like, yeah, my friends like Breaking Bad, but like this show here, like, maybe it's all in your head. You know, it's like."
But my big issue with the Invisible Monster is it went on too long.
Yeah.
You establish no one can see it.
Right.
At that point,
show the monster.
Well, it's like at that point, us and Moon Knight should see it because he obviously sees it. Yeah. He's fighting it.
Yeah.
The problem, like, I'm having with it is, like, it's a cool idea, and they do play with it a little bit, where in the fight choreography, like, it's interesting to see, like, how do you choreograph a fight where you can't see one of the combatants? And that's cool. That's a cool idea. And I think, like, you know, something that we don't see a lot in these movies, with obvious exceptions, Winter Soldier, blah, 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 is, like, interesting fights. Because at the end of the day, everyone's throwing planets at each other. And, like, how do you make that interesting other than the fact that he just threw a planet at him? Like, there's not much you can do there. Like, it's the small scale fights that are cool. And,
I was like, taking to what you're saying there, the ending fight in Eternals, really, I loved everything about that movie but the ending fight, because it really was CG laser beam versus CG running versus CG laser beam.
I thought that was awesome. I thought it looked great.
It was cool in one aspect, but going with what he's saying about fight choreography, there wasn't choreography with that. It was just throw planets and how cool is this kind of idea.
No.
And I think that's like, that's a really cool, we've got to talk about Eternals, it's a different video.
Yeah. We'll move away from that.
it's such an interesting idea that I feel like they just didn't like dive into enough, because like and I'd have to go back and watch the fight and like analyze it, but from what I remember, most of the fight is just Steven or Mark just being knocked around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
thrown into
and
like
it's
the
that's-
bus and things like that.
Yeah, like imagine like an action. Just imagine like a fight scene from Winter Soldier, but Bucky
Right, but
is
one
invisible.
guy's missing. That'd be so cool.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Well, like, and I could see that because I've seen, if it's all choreographed, one person knows all the moves. So basically, you just have the stunt person do the moves like they're defending against somebody. Like they know the choreography. It's actually
Right.
easier because there's no one else in the scene.
Yeah, you can't
Right,
mess it up.
exactly.
Yeah. And also, so I'm of two minds about this. Konshu's voice, it's F. Murray Abraham, so it's cool that it's him,
Yeah.
but he does sound like Gwaihir from Lord of the Rings, and it's really
I didn't
annoying.
pick up on that one at all.
Gwaihir from Lord of the Rings, I'm talking about the video game. You know how like the Eagles...
You're going to your own niche yourself.
It's so silly, but like check out Gwaihir.
Okay.
Because like the Eagles in Lord of the Rings, right? They're just these crazy big birds, like rah! But then you play the video game, which is rooted like the movie. But then Gwaihir shows up and he gives you a ride, and then he goes, "Hello, my friends," and you're like, "That's a giant." Realistic looking eagle, and he's like, "My friends, hop on my back."
Sweet.
And it's just so silly. And he sounds like that. Like Konshu should not sound like a grandpa
Yeah.
who's like, "Hey guys,
I had a problem.
Oh no."
I had a problem with his voice in the first episode. Now I'm a little more used to it, and I love that. Like there are moments in this episode where like Konshu is like my favorite part of this show, where he's just like, I don't remember what he
Stalking?
says, but he's in the background. And like the main villain guy is like taunting him, and Konshu's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill everyone," and it's like,
Is he
I love,
saying he's gonna kill
like I
everybody?
love how
Yeah.
like goofy Konshu is.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the most accurate character in this show.
Exactly.
He is Konshu. Like Konshu's
Konshu.
like crush his trachea.
That's
totally what he would
like
do,
You
yeah.
would say that.
That is Konshu, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of the fool, Mark. Where are you, Mark? Like,
Yeah, no, I like. He's like, well, and him being like sadistic, like you wouldn't like my next choice, But he also sounds like hello. it's like that's what Santa sounds like, not Konshu.
We're on the edge here, at least for me, of Konshu being perfect. Where like the only thing that I don't like about Konshu in this show is his relationship with Mark, where he has a thrall over Mark, and Mark's trying to get
yeah.
away from him. Like I like when the power dynamic is shifted the other way,
Yeah.
where Konshu's there, but Mark's like, dude, go
Shut
away.
up.
Like let me be Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, shut up.
Right.
Leave me alone.
And maybe that's the direction we'll go in, because it's looking
hope
like
so.
this whole Stephen Grant thing came out of a fracture between Konshu and Mark.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
Mark was like, I'm quitting. Like what you wanted. Go away. I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm going to go live with Layla. And,
Yeah.
Konshu's like, guess who's next?
Right. That also is weird, like that they're doing this whole, Ethan Hawke might have been a Moon Knight, Layla's the next Moon Knight. No, this isn't Spawn. Like you're not the next in line. This is
Yeah, I don't remember that as like a
It's
thing.
not a thing.
Usually Konshu is just like I'm gonna stick with Mark no matter
Yeah.
what, even if Mark has control for a while.
well, because the
Yeah.
thing is, like my connection with Moon Knight is, Konshu's like Mark's the only one who bought it.
Yeah.
Like Konshu's like. Most of the time when I come before people, they either think they're crazy
all
and
I
kill
got.
themselves. Like, Mark's the only one who, like, met me and worships me. Like, everybody else thinks I'm an alien or a demon or a voice in their head, but Mark's the only one who's like, you're the god of the moon! Like, you're my only choice!
Yeah. They're doing something with that kind of idea, there being multiple Moon Knights in the current run. But I agree,
Yes.
they've never really touched on it very much.
Yeah, but it's not. Konshu didn't pick that new character, right? Like, that's the guy who's like, you're not Moon Knight enough.
No, I'm pretty sure Konshu picked him. He's the
Okay.
other fist of Konshu.
I thought he like.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
would be
Hey,
too.
I only read the first two issues. My wife is actually more of a fan of the Jed McKay Moon Knight book than I am.
right.
I'll
No,
have to ask her.
I've gotten up to like 6, and there's like 7, 8, and 9 now, and he's going by the other fist now. But from what I understand, he is the replacement because because you got to think this is coming off the heels of the Avengers concept, and they're not forgetting it happened, where Moon Knight basically said, "No, go away, Konshu." So
Yeah.
Konshu's like, "All right, here's the other guy."
Right. Yeah. Right, but like that's the thing.
go get a new boyfriend.
I don't see Moon Knight being like, "Oh, get a new one." Like cuz it's so hard to get someone to believe in you.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway.
it could be just I think the show's going to do it, so let's do an idea like that in the comics, like
Oh.
that kind of a concept.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke's still great. He's awesome in
Yep.
this show. I did anybody else get National Treasure vibes at the end of the episode where they're like, this is going to be National Treasure, isn't it? We gotta raid a tomb. We gotta get some artifacts. It's gonna be a dude
at the end.
Yeah, it's like da-da-da-da.
I was so
uh-oh.
confused because Jimmy Palmiotti, well-known comic book artist and writer, tweeted out asking if the pyramids of Giza are that close to the city.
I saw that.
I'm like, why is this a topic? It didn't even dawn on me Moon Knight just happened. So I started looking into it. It's a whole discussion about like the geography of Egypt, and it's only 10 miles away, and there's actually a Pizza Hut you can eat at to look at the pyramids. And I'm just like, I want to take a vacation to Egypt. Then I saw the episode, and I'm like, that's why everyone was talking about Pizza Hut Egypt.
Yeah, no, I always assumed you had to take like a long ride to get to those pyramids, but like, no, right
Yeah,
over there.
apparently, from what they've said, is that movies because I was looking into the thread, the movies and shows like to portray those pyramids as if they're nowhere near there.
Yeah.
Recently, and it's been going on for a while, but like more recently, even got bigger. There's been an active attempt to put a big city next to the pyramids to prove Egypt's not a third world country.
Oh, I don't like
But
that,
they
though,
keep
because-
angling all the photos and everything to not have the city in it.
There's something that a lot of people don't know, and I looked this up after the episode because I was curious. Is there's a McDonald's inside of each pyramid?
No, it's not.
No, I don't
You
believe
liar.
it's not April 1st
Not
anymore.
even. Nice try.
You almost had me. No, apparently there's actually a KFC and a Pizza Hut that is
At the
in
top
range.
of each pyramid.
No, but it's like 10 miles away, and they both have a balcony, so you can have your pizza and your chicken
And look at the pyramids.
Look at the
And
pyramids
just
at a
stare.
sunset.
Do they have like a
So
like
Sal,
a pyramid
Sal,
shaped
we're doing a
pizza?
work trip. We're
Yeah,
going to Egypt.
We're going to Egypt.
We're going to Egypt to have pizza. You down?
I mean, like, yeah. I kind of
great.
have to go, especially because I'm not a woman, so I'll be safe. But like,
Yeah.
oh,
Just to say that. Like, what'd you do last week, Sal? I went to Egypt to
I
have
went to
pizza.
Egypt and had Pizza Hut. Looked at the
They
pyramids
should
and then
rename
got
it
on a
Pizza Pyramid.
yeah.
I looked at the pyramids, had Pizza Hut, still don't like Pizza Hut.
No, I
Damn.
love Pizza Hut. It's still good.
I have
not-
this
it's not
argument
really
all the
good.
time with everyone because I'm the only one that likes Pizza Hut, and they're all like, no, we got to go to like Papa John's or the local place. And I'm like,
Ew.
Real
Yeah.
pizza
I don't want
trumps Pizza
racist
Hut every
pizza.
time. Yeah, yeah, no. Real pizza trumps Pizza Hut every time, but, I'm an old book it kid, so, like, the personal pan pizza is still, like, it's in me.
well, yeah, but you're also in Jersey. You're right next to New York style pizza.
I get real pizza
Yeah,
every
that's what I
day.
mean. Like,
yeah.
I'm in Colorado. We can't find a real pizza.
No, you get, like, crackers with, like, some kind of non-organic whatever
Okay, we're not
cheese
that
on
far out there.
it. Yeah, no, that's true.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight 2! It was, you know what, though? I will say, nitpicking, but honestly, like, I think the
Yeah.
show is pretty good. It's just...
I'm enjoying it.
It's not the show I was expecting, but like the show that they're giving us, maybe it's not what I was hoping for, but it is. But I don't know why I expected anything else.
The thing that's bothering me the most about it is it's just like it. I can see the writing on the wall now, of like
Of what
this
this is.
show and the rest of it, and like as a Moon Knight fan, at the end of last week's episode and this week's, I'm like, okay, maybe
Where's
next
Moon
time.
Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like because like last time we got Moon Knight at the end, I was like, all right, cool, we have Moon Knight, and then
Now
this
Moon
episode
Knight.
starts and it's Stephen Grant for another 40
And then
minutes.
Mr. Knight. Yeah.
40
I
minutes.
I'm liking these. I'm liking these two episodes. My complaints about it being a little bit longer than the padding there is probably just going to go away once all 6 episodes are out, and you're not looking at padding, because right now we're looking at padding because we're like, we want Moon Knight. We
Right.
want what you're saying, Dylan. We want to get to that.
Yeah.
Once the show's out, if we get sufficient Moon Knight to counteract all of this won't matter
hope
because
so.
padding won't be a thing anymore.
Can I just say there's also a funny? It's funny. I'm just thinking about like how cool Moon Knight looks either incarnation, and what a weird place we are in when and if we do inevitably get some kind of like Avengers-esque movie.
Yeah.
And friggin' Moon Knight shows up in it.
That would be great.
Like Oscar Isaac's gonna be like, he's gonna be like the Hulk moment, where
Yeah.
Blade is gonna be like, hey, what is this? What are you doing, man? You're freaking out. He's like, that's my secret. I'm always freaking out. And then he turns into Moon Knight.
But what I was saying is, at this point, if the show did not have Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac, I would be more negative against it.
The actors are
They're
good.
acting as Stephen Grant, as Mark Spector. The fact that Oscar Isaac can make you feel like Mark Spector and Stephen Grant are separate people,
Yeah.
not even from the speech pattern and the accent, but his mannerisms and the way he acts is incredible, and I love it. I love Ethan Hawke's portrayal of it.
Yeah.
I'm actually digging the Konshu portrayal. The acting is what's hooking me on this, and if we
fair.
had different actors, less capable actors, I'd probably be more negative against the show.
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
doing such a good job. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the acting's good.
My like aside from all of that, my main complaint about like the filmmaking is this show's just written really strangely, like especially in the dialogue. But like everything out of Layla's mouth was just exposition.
I don't.
Oh,
I
yeah.
yeah. She had nothing really to contribute except for more exposition.
No.
I feel bad. Hopefully
I'm
she'll
the
have
wife.
more.
I have a wife.
It's like
Here's
what,
explanation.
a show about like a show where it's a mystery, and Layla shows up and doesn't believe that Stephen Grant is like a real thing that's happening.
Right.
Why would she just like, you don't talk to someone like you don't pick up like a icon and be like, ah, yes, the scarab that we've adventured on and went to Walmart and bought together. It's like,
Yes.
what? You just be like, oh, what? Why do you have that? That's all you
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's actually funny because the only scene that made me question Layla, actually my wife brought it up, when they showed up, like she showed up, Steven's in that place talking to Arthur at this time, right?
Yeah.
And she just shows up. And my wife's like, why is she there? Is she somebody in the comics? I'm like, no.
No!
I don't know why she's here and why she brought the scarab here. And then she runs in like, suit up. Like, I know you're Moon Knight. And I'm like, so she knows he's Moon Knight. Why did she bring the scarab to him? She's not trying to save him. She thinks he's Moon Knight. So what?
Yeah.
It's like a whole hole where she thinks he's not, doesn't believe he's Stephen Grant, believes he's Moon Knight. So...
Yeah.
Is she not a character in the comics? I thought she was.
I mean, I thought she was supposed to be like a placeholder for Marlene, his actual
that's the
wife.
assumption,
And I'm like,
but
what
if-
is
Wow,
that?
that's.
But if you look up Layla,
That's-
she doesn't exist.
I think I just had like a Mandela effect moment.
Right.
Because when I saw Layla and Duchamp, I was like, oh, okay, those are the characters I remember. Yeah, cool.
There's a
Exactly.
running theory.
her
'cause
name is different.
the no. There's a Layla that is an X-Man. There's a running theory that this is going to be some subtle way to introduce the X-Men.
It's not
Shut up.
mutants, folks. I'm sorry.
I'm
It's
just
not.
telling you.
They will
Every
use-
time.
They will put mutants in there later.
Mephisto's here too.
They're not
Yeah.
going to use
Worry about
Moon Knight as the jumping off board. If
No!
they didn't use WandaVision, they're not using Moon Knight.
If they
Moon Knight.
could and did and then backtracked it in WandaVision, they're not going to do it in Moon Knight.
So overall, that's my thoughts. Though I liked the episode. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I do feel like this is the first time watching any of these Marvel shows. I can't really give a full judgment on it until we see where it's going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the mystery going to get to where I want it? Is Stephen Grant going to get to where I want him? Is Moon Knight going to get to where I want that? Because right now we're building all that up.
Yeah.
And we got 4 episodes
Yeah.
left. We got to get to it now.
I think we're building. I think we're gonna have a big turn in a couple more episodes. Like
I'm telling you,
hope
my
so. I
theory
mean-
is that Jake and Mark were the personalities. When Layla was threatened, they created Steven, and that's causing the problems. And Steven's going to be the constant protagonist we follow,
Yeah.
but there's these other 2 personalities as well.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
think-
sure
I
I'll learn
think-
to like him.
Third episode, if this is a long movie, will be the middle of
Yes.
the movie, which is generally
Exactly.
when big things will change and happen. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I think, and also because Mark has full control now and Steven's in the back seat, I think episode 3 will, at least for me, be a really good litmus test
Yes.
of if I'm gonna like this show.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If Moon Knight pops out in the last 2 minutes of the episode again, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Hey, at least I do it a whole season of Daredevil where we get a suit at the very tail end of the whole thing.
Yeah. Daredevil was still engaging
cares?
and
That
fun.
show's
I
great.
loved that show.
Or, okay, Smallville where we go 10 seasons and get the suit at the very ending as a little...
That's fair.
Smallville was was the 90s. They didn't even know what to do.
So,
Anyway.
I don't have any other examples. Everything else has done it better.
That's right. That's right. All right.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We are Absolutely Marvel and DC. We'll see you next week with another Moon Knight review. Look for them every Friday right here at Absolutely Marvel and DC. Thank you, and see you next time.